Travis Bazzana's World Baseball Classic run ends kind of quickly. We'll talk about what he gained and why it could be a blessing in disguise for his 2026 season and for the Guardians. Plus, the battle for the fifth rotation spot heats up.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Guardians, your only daily Cleveland Guardians podcast that is covering your team, your Cleveland Guardians, every single day from the majors, the minors, the draft, and everything in between. We've got all that covered for you on today's episode of the show. If you are new here and you're not an everydayer or returning insider, I am Justin Lada. I have been co-hosting this podcast with my friend and co-host Jeff Ellis for 4 years now. He's been here much longer, but we've also been covering the Guardians minor league system and the draft, in Jeff's case, for 19 years, Jeff. 19 years. I know it's hard to say, isn't it, sometimes?
That just makes me feel old. Yeah, but I can remember when there was like 5 of us covering the draft back in the day. Those were simpler times. For sure, as you mentioned, I am Jeff Ellis. I've been here at Locked On since Locked On expanded into baseball. For that, I was national writer at Scout 24/7, focused on prospects in the draft. I want to take a second and thank you, each and one of our everydayers or insiders, whoever you are, however you help. If you're someone who leaves a comment every day, if you watch every episode, so many ways you can help, and we appreciate each and all of them. I can't speak today, but you get what I mean. So thank you all for taking part and helping keep the show, so fresh and fun.
Words are hard when do podcast. That's fun.
I'm going to blame daylight savings. I'm just going to blame that for everything for a bit.
Yeah, we're still 24 hours into that, so I guess you still have a little bit of a grace period there. That's like someone saying, "Oh, blame it on the new year," and it's like 2 weeks later. Like it's been the new year for 2 weeks, man. It's only been 24 hours for daylight savings time, but hey, it was in the 70s in Ohio, and it was light until 6:30. So we are getting so close to baseball. And later on today's show, we have an MLB mock draft to react to. Who might be on the Guardians' radar? We'll tell you who it is. Of course, we already know who it's going to be in July. No, we don't. The back of the rotation battle is getting a little bit tighter. We'll talk about who is going to break camp as the fifth starter in a little bit. And lead off today's episode with news from Goodyear. And one of those pieces of news is Travis Bazzana is coming back as Team Australia is out in the World Baseball Classic. And that might actually be a good thing for Cleveland and a good thing for him as much as it hurts him personally. I know it did hurt him personally. We'll talk about that here in a second. This episode of Locked On Guardians is brought to you by our friends over at MLB The Show 26. Visit MLB.theshow/LockedOn. Use code LockedOn to unlock a pack for use in Diamond Dynasty. Pre-order now. Available March 17th on PlayStation 5, Xbox, Nintendo Switch. MLB The Show is rated E for everyone. Yes, I watched all of Travis Bazzana's games for Australia, although I caught today's game, Monday's game against Korea a little bit late because I still do have to work, and I wasn't going to get up at 6 a.m. on a work day. I did it voluntarily on Sunday to watch them play Team Japan, and I know Team Australia was so close to advancing. They had a 1-0 lead over Japan in the 7th inning. All they had to do with Korea is lose by less than 5, and they would have advanced via the tiebreaker. And they lost to Japan, which not a shock. I'm honestly surprised they were as close as they were with Japan. And then they had a chance to beat Korea, and an error cost them those runs, and they couldn't get him back. So I know the team was devastated. I know Travis Bazzana was, I said, in the locker room crying. Clearly it meant a lot to him. But I hope, he got to play, Jeff, on a stage where there were 50,000 fans in the Tokyo Dome. Like, you're never going to play in a stadium that big in Major League Baseball. Like, as much as, I don't know how much of a difference that makes between the atmosphere and the environment and the stakes and, the fact that he wasn't exactly facing top-tier pitching at all. There's still some benefits out of that. But, the fact that the run is over early, I think he's a very motivated guy. He cares a heck of a lot about everything he does. And this is not going to be his last World Baseball Classic. He's going to have a chance to do it again in a couple of years. He'll be more of an established big leaguer by then. He might even play in the Olympics in a couple of years, honestly, if Australia is qualifying for that. And that's a whole different story we can talk
I don't
about.
think you have to worry about them qualifying for that. It's going to be such a small field. I don't think you have to worry about it.
Probably not. Yeah, it's only six teams. I had a tweet go viral on that. I was so confused why that went viral. But anyway, he'll be back in Goodyear later this week after he gets the travel and then gets over some jet lag and gets back. So that could be a good thing for him for his 2026 season. I sure think it's a good thing for the Guardians, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's better for him to be back. The grouping he was in was not the best pitching grouping, so he didn't get challenged that much. He had some big hits here and there, but on the whole, the problem is you can't really look at stats, because if you look at stats, you're going to think, oh, he really struggled, because it's such a small sample. That's why we talk about the danger of statistics in small samples. So like you have to more watch him game to game. What I did like personally I was not Justin. I did not watch games, but I will watch the players I'm interested in and how they perform, and seeing like his at bats and seeing him in the field. I was impressed with his defense, just because I feel like we spent the last year kind of burying him. He had some nice plays, and I think he's not the quickest reaction guy, but he's quick on his feet and he's very smart. So I feel like he typically makes the right read and then moves quickly to it. And then, he was pretty aggressive in his at-bats, which is something we wanted to see. Less passivity, more swinging. I don't think anyone who watched him in the World Baseball Classic could come back and be like, this guy is too passive. That was definitely not his approach.
Yeah, I definitely think he was rearing and ready to go, and I think he feels much better about his approach coming into the year. Like, he obviously did the work in the offseason with his swing again, and he's got his timing, he learned some of the environmental, that kind of stuff. Like, I think he got his bearings last year, and he realized about committing and being more decisive, and he's just too smart of a player, honestly, and too smart of an athlete to let that catch him. So I think you're right. Like, he was that the home run he hit, even it was off of kind of a, I don't want to say nobody's a rude word, but you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't exactly the high level competition.
No, it was like a double A ball arm.
Yeah. And he's only got a couple games to go up AAA, so it's not, far off, but it was the first pitch fastball in the inner half of the plate. And like you said, the defense was really good. He drove in an RBI single against Korea late in that game on Monday, or I think it was still Monday in Japan, in Japanese Standard Time. I don't really care to get into the time differences again. I only do it for the World Baseball Classic, truthfully. So, he had a clutch RBI single. It wasn't a hard hit ball or anything, but it was a nice piece of hitting. He did some nice things. Like I said, I think the fact that he had to deal with being like the most attention on him as the leader of Team Australia, and he clearly did it because he loves the game and he loves the attention it brings to Australia, and he wants to put him on the map. And like I said, he clearly cares. The character's there. And playing in front of that environment is helpful, even if the competition wasn't that great. But now, I think it's he's going to be back at camp. Like, he probably won't play until the end of the week. He might not even play till like Sunday. But hey, he'll be back for the prospect game. That'll be fun. The spring breakout game should be back in time, and I think it'll motivate him. But and the other thing too is, like, Cleveland's already optioned down, like, Ralphie and Angel Henao and all these other guys are back in minor league camp. I think there's a good chance that Bazzana, when he comes back, is going to get a few more games in Major League camp, and we'll get a chance to show what he could do, because, Ralphie and Angel was in the 40, but Ralphie was a non-roster invitee, and so is Bazzana. But I think now that when he comes back, once he gets his feet back under him from the time change, I think he'll get more opportunities, and that's going to be a good thing for everybody. And plus, I want to see him in the spring breakout game, even if it is at Thursday. That's the 19th at 4:10 Eastern. It's the worst time, because nobody hates its sport more than Major League Baseball.
I think they just don't care about the breakout game. I got to be honest. I think it's an afterthought.
It's going to be a whole tournament next year, because they're going to use it to pad the lockout.
I know.
So they care. They care a little bit.
They care when they need it to be something.
Yes,
until then
when it's
it doesn't
convenient
matter
for them.
Yeah. But either way, I'll be curious. I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up not on that roster, honestly, just because of them wanting him to get more reps with the big league side and things like that or spending more time after some missed time.
I can see that.
But I'll be curious to see. I just think that, overall, I was not rooting against Australia. I don't know, because I wasn't really rooting or pulling for anyone, because I'm That's not.
I was pulling for them to get out of there because they would have faced better competition in the second round in the quarterfinals.
The World Baseball Classic is just, it's a cursory thing for me. But I was kind of happy to see him come back, because the more I looked at, even if they're facing better competition, it's like a lot of these teams are still, up and down, unless you're facing one of the titans of it, one of the 4 or 5 really big teams. Who did he face from Japan, though, right? He didn't even face...
Yeah, it was Tomoyuki Sagano, which was the Orioles starter
who's not with the Orioles now, who had to take a really cheap deal. Like, and they faced one of the Titans, and he still didn't face a high-end pitching. So it's like, he's probably going to face better competition in camp, and that's what he needs to face anyway. So I viewed it as a positive either way, I guess, was my way of...
I think you get the benefit of both. I think you get the benefit of playing on that stage, getting the media attention, playing in front of a crowd he'll never see in the States, and then he gets to come back and get back to camp a little bit earlier than maybe he wanted to, but that's good because he gets to face the better pitching and gets back in camp and gets his bearings. I wouldn't expect him back and in the lineup until like Friday or Saturday at the earliest, just to get back for travel, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's not a bad thing, as much as I know it hurts him right now, and I was pulling for Australia, but it is what it is. We also thought that the rotation to 2026 was going to shake out a certain way. We don't want to base something on a few starts, but the battle for the final rotation spot could be in play more than we thought. That's coming up next. I could not be more excited to talk about MLB The Show, our sponsor for today's episode of Locked On Guardians. It is the greatest game on consoles today, and it's back for the newest installment. Can't wait till it comes out. Going to be hard not to be playing it every single day. Once it's released, it's coming this week. I have been playing MLB The Show for a long, long time. A lot of late nights with my friends, a lot of frustrating battles, lots of trades, lots of home runs, lots of trash talking. I've never had more fun playing that game with my friends. Great way to bring your friends together and play some baseball. If you're a gamer, a baseball fan, you want to enjoy America's favorite pastime in a new exciting way, you're going to love MLB The Show 26. You can play as your favorite team and franchise players and see what it takes to win your own World Series. Visit MLB.theshow/LockedOn. Use code LockedOn to unlock a pack in Diamond Dynasty. Pre-order now. Available March 17th on PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. Baseball the way it should be. Rated E for everyone. Travis Bazzana is back. Baseball's back. Lock in. Join the Everydayer Club. If you never missed an episode of Locked On Guardians, you can get the ad-free version of the show by joining the Everydayer Club. You also get access to our group chat on Discord. So the conversation about the Guardians and baseball in general doesn't have to end when the show ends. We are on Discord every day talking about that day's game, talking about the headlines, and also you get access to all the Discord channels for Cavs, Browns, Ohio State, Guardians, all the other baseball teams, MLB chatter. There's a World Baseball Classic channel on the Discord, which I know Jeff has definitely checked every single day since the tournament started. I have. I've probably been the only one commenting in there, honestly, but I'm the most active person there. But if you go to LockedOnGuardians.supercast.com or tap the link in the show notes, that is where you go to join. Speaking of Guardians, or I should say Locked On content, the Top 100 show is coming up later today. You can check out who made it to our MLB Top 100 rankings on the Locked On MLB Network. And I'm just going to say, Jeff, I had no qualms. Obviously, everyone knows Jose Ramirez was going to be the rankings.
Where would what teams have a player better than him?
Yes, exactly.
I saw that Twitter thing today.
Yes, the one player from the Guardians that didn't make it is an absolute travesty. That's all I'm going to say. It is a crime against baseball.
And I made a video about it explaining why it's
a crime.
It's a joke. Yeah. Like this, I got to be honest. The second best player, in my opinion, on this team did not make the top 100. I'll say that right now. I'll say the player who I had as their second best player did not make the top 100. They have two guys on it. I'll say that as well. But the second best player on the team did not make it.
It's a crime. Go over to Locked On Sports channel to find that show, and it'll be on Locked On MLB as well.
I think we did better, like as a network, with Jose's ranking than some of the other places I saw. Was it like ESPN or somebody didn't even have him in the top 10, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
My God,
they had him 12. I don't remember which ranking had him 12. I was like, "You can't have Jose out of the top 10."
I will say Jose got ranked exactly where I thought he should. I thought it was fair where he ended up. So go check that out. Parker Messick, spoiler alert, is not in the top 100, but he could be in the Guardians rotation to start the year. I don't know. You and I both thought that it was pretty obvious that, it would be Bybee, Williams, and in whatever order. I think Bybee is on track. If you look at the schedule to start opening day, they haven't announced it yet, but the way the schedule lines up, he is on track. Ciccone, Cantillo has to make it because he's out of options. So we thought, Logan Allen's going to make it because he's the most experienced guy, and Parker Messick also has options, and it just made sense for him to be there in depth. And I don't want to base all this on a couple of starts, but, he faced the Royals regulars for the most part today, got in the fifth inning. The fastball got up to 95, got some swings and misses on that. Like, everything looks pretty good. Like, Allen's got an option. I know he's got nothing to prove in AAA.
So does Ciccone.
Either way. Ciccone does have an option. I just don't think that after trading for him and the work they've done with him that he's going to go to AAA. Like, I think it's coming down to Allen and Messick, and Stephen Vogt said it could come down to the final days of camp, and I'm not going to count Messick out. Like, and to be honest, I think it should be Messick. Like, Messick is a better pitcher than Logan Allen, even if you look at what Messick did last year and you think, okay, he's probably not going to sustain. Like, there's no way. We love Parker Messick, right? In front of the show last year, 2.72 ERA, 2.98 FIP. He didn't outpitch his FIP that much, but I think it's unrealistic to think he's going to have that level of success again in 2026. Like he's definitely a 4/5 starter who's a guy I think could carry like an ERA in the mid to high threes, maybe low fours. But is that better than Logan Allen? I think so. I think he's got better command. I think he's got better stuff, certainly better velocity. So I would not be against this. It's just, I think it's a weird position for Logan Allen. Is like, what do you do with him if that's the case?
I still don't think there's any chance he breaks camp with the team. And the reason I say that is, even though I agree with you, I think he's better than Logan Allen. I do. And I think he's probably better than Slade Ciccone as well. And I wouldn't be shocked if he told me he ended up being the third best pitcher on this team next year. I wouldn't be shocked by that at all if he ended up, because he's more consistent than a Cantillo. As much as I have Cantillo's ceiling, and there's more consistency. The one thing that, people get mad at me for bringing this up, but the reason that I think there's zero chance he breaks camp with the team is, if you keep him down for a month, you gain an extra year of control. Because of the extra service time from last year, with the way that would balance things out, right. Just keeping him down for a month means, a whole nother year on this team with them, because he has 0.04. So he accumulated some service time a year ago. If he starts the year with them, it's like, because that's what it's all about. Once you get to 6 years of service time, you're a free agent. So the whole goal is for a team to end at 5.9 or 5.8 at the end of that year, to get one more year of control. And I think, especially when we've sat there and looked at how expensive mediocre to bad pitching has been in free agency. Do you know Alex Cobb a year ago got $16 million? In free agency. We should have talked about it, especially because he's one of the Guardians free agents that he went to a rival. I don't think we ever mentioned it though, but it's like, that's how expensive like pitching is, that I think they'll talk a good game, but to me it is service time manipulation, but they can also cover for it better than any team, because they, Logan Allen was here since he started all of last year. He was a starter all of last year. Slade Ciccone was up most of last year. They have the pieces, and if either of those guys struggle, the nice thing is you do have the player to go to. And inevitably, let's be real honest, before we get through the first month of the season, someone's getting hurt. That's just pitching.
Yes, you are right. At the risk of someone calling us negative by pointing it out.
I know, but it's what happens. Like, I'm not saying it as I'm not saying doom and gloom, but it's like, we all know pitching is pitching, right? You can't. Yeah, we're never gonna have a season like that one year Cleveland had, where they needed 6 starters to get through a year. That'll never happen again.
No, I would like to see the last team that did happen for, besides the 2005 Indians, and not that it's the same. Like, Logan Allen pitched 1 game for Panama. I think they're going home, so Logan Allen is going to be back in camp here relatively soon. I mean, he faced better competition than Travis Bazzana did, but Allen's got really nothing left to prove. Like, we kind of know who he is at this point. He's not ascending. I totally agree with your point on the service time manipulation thing. Like, but I mean, Stephen Vogt said, like, oh, this could come down to the end of camp. And I'm like, well, you can't say you're having a competition and then be like, oh, well, technically we're never actually going to consider it because we're always going to manipulate your service time. Like that's a bad look. I'm not saying they're going to say it and they're not going to let that ever be.
I mean, they've basically done it before, though. They've talked about we've had all competition, and then this other guy won, and it's like, okay.
But it's such a bad look to say, like, oh yeah, it's competition, and then they're like, oh well, you know.
Every team does it to varying degrees, though.
I know.
And that's just baseball, and like they have a legitimate case and reason to not promote him. Like even at the end of the day, if they're like, well, you know, we're a big believer in Logan.
He's one of your best 5 starters. He is one of your best 5 starters right now. And I'm with you. Like I think he.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yes. But
3.
like,
I hope to God he's not one of their best 3 because I really want Cantillo to have a good year.
I just think it comes down to too, though. It's like we know, Tito's not here anymore, but like there is that like we owe it to our vets and things like that. Like Cantillo has been up; he was up all last season. Sending a guy like that down is also another set of like opening.
Well, Cantillo's not going anywhere because he's out.
And I can't tell. I mean, Allen was up all last year. He's had almost 2 years of service. Sending a guy like
Ciccone was up all last year.
But he's only 1 year of service. He's a younger kid. Allen's a bit older. Like it's that thing where it's like you can make a case like that. Sending Logan Allen down is also not the best look for a guy. Like they're not backed into a corner because you can never have enough pitching. But it's going to be a bit awkward no matter what.
Could you with Hunter Gaddis, we have to get to break here, but with Hunter Gaddis' injury, like could you consider Logan Allen in the bullpen? Like that really hurts your depth if you do. It hurts
your depth too much.
That's probably what it comes down to. It hurts your depth because then if you do that, then your depth in AAA is basically Doug Nikhazy and Colby Allard and
Peterson whenever he's healthy.
It's not a great.
And you're already down a starter because of Peterson, so like
right.
I think it's even more so.
Tough spot, even though Parker Messick deserves it. We'll see how it shakes out. We'll listen to what Stephen Vogt and the Guardians say, and then we'll see what they do. Because, like I said, watch what they do, not what they say.
Yep.
And he has been saying it's going to be a camp battle. But we are officially, however, in mock draft season. So who could be on the Guardians' radar? Who might be available for them at picks 19 and 29? We'll react to that next. College basketball is non-stop, especially when we get to conference tournament week before we get to the big tournament. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night. You've got early tip-offs, late West Coast shootouts, always actions on the board. FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay the way you want. Rivalry games, ranked matchups, and during the tournament, I'm going to be checking out the MAC tournament. I'm going to put some down on Akron to beat Miami. I know they're undefeated, but you never know. We'll see what happens. And so, by tournament, unlike that first day, you want to ride a little bit higher when it goes that first day. Turn up the intensity. Go safe. Go bold. Ride with the team you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style. Now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel. Play your game. Woo! Tax season. But for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes, it's a lot, as you can hear. Book an appointment that is not the most convenient. You're sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers. You're emailing back and forth, wondering if the accountant really gets your situation. This year, you're getting a major upgrade, though. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations worldwide. You can be face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents are going to get uploaded straight onto your TurboTax app on the spot. Just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar that you deserve, and you get real-time notifications as you go about your day, not worrying, not stressing. It is the relief of walking in, meeting a real person, and walking out, and your taxes are being handled right the way you know they need to be handled. You're confident. You don't have to squirm about what might happen. Head to TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment today. Whether it's spring training, mock drafts, the top 100 list, the World Baseball Classic, we've got videos and content for everything for the Guardians for you. So get the bell on YouTube. You'll get notified of when those videos go live so you never miss one. And we are free and available every day wherever you get podcasts. So if you auto-download us on every audio platform, you'll never miss a show. Maybe you're going out taking a walk with this nice weather we've got in Ohio this week, and you want to listen to some Guardians talk. Take us with you on that walk I know I could get out of the house a little bit more personally. I've been stuck here working and doing baseball stuff, but yeah, check us out everywhere you get podcasts as well. All right, it is definitely Jeff's favorite season. We're not joking this time. It is mock draft season. We've got our first official bigger, I don't want to say bigger outlet mock draft, but it's Baseball America, who, we like the guys there. We like Carlos, we like Jeff, we like those guys. It's the first mock draft, and the Guardians picks I thought were pretty interesting, Jeff. I personally am a bigger fan of some of the guys they passed on, at least the way the mock went at 19. I didn't have an issue at 29. But after
a slight issue, just because there's some guys that I really liked, but
but the guy at 29, the guy at 29, I was not against. I will say, I see the hype there, but I'll let you kind of dive in a little bit more. I did some more research on their 19th pick, and I'm not against it either. Like it's grown on me throughout the day,
like a fungus. So for those who missed it, at 19, they had Carson Bowman, the left-handed pitcher, South Carolina. I'm trying to blank on what high school. I know he's a South Carolina kid. Wake Forest commit. He is. The interesting thing here is Cleveland has not taken a prep pitcher with their first overall picks. It's Daniel Espino. And then if you go back before Daniel Espino, the last time they took a prep pitcher was Dan Denham. So it's still something that they have not done very often. Though,
did not count.
What?
Does Brady Aiken not count?
No, he had spent a year at the IMG Academy. He was no longer a high school kid at that point. He wasn't drafted out of high school. He was drafted in that weird transition year. Justin and I both talked. We both like Von Lackey a lot, who they had going 20th to the Red Sox. Fun fact: the Guardians have only ever drafted 5 catchers. I want to pull up the information I sent Justin. They have drafted 5 catchers in the history of the draft. 79 first rounders, only 5 catchers. If you know who the only college catcher they've ever drafted is, write it now before I spoil it. It's Rick Cerone in 1975. They took a kid named Tim Glass in 1976. Their first ever first rounder was Ray Fosse, another prep player in 1965. So since 1977 on, they have drafted 2 catchers in the first round, Bo Naylor being one of them. So it's and technically Ralphie is the other because he was a catcher when drafted. So that's how much they have not done catching. But Bowman is, for those who don't know him, I think he is to me, he's the number 1 prep pitcher in this class. Athletic, gamer type on the mound, good command, velocity, like complete package, just a complete package. But bottom line for me is I'm never drafting a prep arm in the top 30 picks. I'm not. It's too big of a risk. I know that's maybe not Cleveland's thing. I would have liked Lackey. I like Blake Bowen from Jay Sarah, who they had after him. Tyler Bell from Kentucky. Here's the thing. They have Tyler Bell at 23. Tyler Bell just came back from injury. I had him as a top 10 guy to start the year. Like, he could move up. I know some people talk about Caden Sorrell. I just think he's got too much expansion in the zone. Like, I mean, I like the traits and tools. He weirdly he finds ways to get hurt all the time. I mean, from getting, stepped on like
2 weeks ago.
And then, there's their old school guys like Rocco Manalesco, Will Brick, who I don't think they had in this mock, and Jared Grindlinger, who I actually kind of liked more at 29 than their current pick there, which was not James Bosco. He goes to James Bosco, James Clark from Don Bosco. That Don Bosco team, by the way, is the team that not
John Bosco.
They knocked off that Corona team last year with Hernandez, with Ebel, with
that's right.
That's the team that knocked that team out. So that Bosco team, he was committed, I want to say, to Princeton. He's a twin, both him and his twin brother, and they just recommitted to somewhere else. I want to say in January, Duke. So they flipped their commit, still go to a really good academic school, not quite Ivy League, but they're able to get both him and his twin to commit, and that's James Clark, who they have at 29. It is a class, and here I'll just get out in front of it. Landon Tomey, they have going 35 to the Yankees. Cleveland is never going to draft Landon Tomey. Never, ever, ever.
That is Jim Tomey's kid, in case you were wondering. Yes.
And I know people are like, why are you going to be a buzzkill? It's the same reason they would have never considered Manny's kids, CC's CC's kid still at Georgia Tech? I think he's a senior.
Yes, I think he might be at another school, but he's still in
Either way.
college.
But yeah, he's like, because it's too much pressure. Like, it's already hard enough when you're a prospect. Having these guys go to where their dads played is a lot of pressure, and Cleveland doesn't want to do that to these players. So, and I know people are like, well, if they're going to make it to the big leagues, they can deal with pressure. Yeah, that might be true, but like, you don't want to do added pressure. You don't want to do added things. So Cleveland has typically avoided guys who are the sons of anyone who've played for them. And then I also just want to mention one other name who came up in this mock. That's Lucas Moore. Nobody listening who comments is going to want Lucas Moore because it feels like all our commenters want are power hitters, left-hand or right-handed power hitters. Lucas Moore is the antithesis of that. He's a kid from Westchester, Ohio, Cincinnati kid who's at Louisville, young for the class. He's not, center fielder, some of the best speed, some of the best center field defense, great contact skills. One of those guys that you could just put out in center and be a plus defender with like 70 grade speed, which honestly, this team could use some 70 speed guys. But I would want him more in round 2 as well. That wouldn't be where I'm jumping. To me, and I'm taking up too much time, so I apologize, but this is my background. This is what I like. If I was running this team and the draft broke this way, I'd be taking Von Lackey, the super athletic catcher from Georgia Tech, at pick 19. And then at 29, just looking at the way things fell and the way the board is, I might be gambling on Kevin Roberts, the super athletic prep shortstop from Jackson Prep, who just, if you want loud tools, big athleticism, big risk, it's him. Or I'd probably be looking at Jared Gridlinger, sorry, keeping it wrong, whose brother is a catcher at Tennessee who just reclassified and is one of the youngest players in this class, 6'3" left-handed pitcher and outfielder. I could see him being either of those things. Like, he's not going to be a two-way player. That just doesn't happen. But, I think he has potential at both. And I think for our listeners who just got annoyed at the Lucas Moore stuff, me saying I would take Kevin Roberts Jr., by the way, 6'5" right-handed bat with power at shortstop. So he is the guy that, that would make you happy. And that's what I'm saying I would consider with that pick.
Yes, big guys with loud tools is what makes everybody happy for the Guardians draft. Yeah, I'm with you. Von Lackey would be the guy I would go for it at 19 if he's on the board. Like, you don't draft for need, but it's an organizational need. Like, they don't have.
He's best available, in my opinion, too.
He's best available, and Joey Bart has turned into a halfway decent major leaguer, and I know the hype was bigger on him coming out of college, but Georgia Tech's got a fairly good reputation when it comes to pro catchers.
Kevin Parada.
Yeah, like I said, it's fairly good. It's not everybody. No, I know we're a long way away from the days of Jason Varitek, obviously, but there's been guys over the years, and I think Lackey, like, he's the biggest thing for Lackey this year was he going to hit for power, and he's hitting for power this year. Like,
that's a great athlete.
He is a great athlete. I would be all in
unbelievable for a catcher.
I will say I came around on Bolamon. Like, I watched some of the stuff. Like, I think the breaking stuff is good. I like the delivery. He's physical. He's one of those guys, like, he's going to be 19 before draft day, which would be unusual for Cleveland. We're so far away, so it doesn't matter. But I see like a little bit of like Blake Snell. I see a little bit of Matt Boyd. Like, I see some good traits there. I'm not against it. And, the Padres have done pretty well in taking those types and trading them. So I'm not against that either. Like, that's the opportunity there too. And the one thing I want to look at for the draft going forward, Jeff, and have a conversation in the future is, like, the Guardians type in the first round has obviously changed, but it's also opportunistic. Like, if you're saying Bolamon is the best prep pitcher in the class this year, and he's available at 19, that makes sense for Cleveland because they are opportunistic. So, like, it's not against type, even though they haven't taken any prep pitchers in a while. They're opportunistic. So, like,
yeah,
they're more not high school pitchers than they have been before, and they're just very opportunistic about who is there and who is best on their board.
And I'll throw this out there. I'm not trying to throw any shade at Carlos or anything like that. I get why Carlos did this, because right now, I'll tell you, when I go and do my mock, one of the hardest things is figuring out where prep pitchers will fall, because a lot of teams have become a lot more resistant to the idea of prep pitchers in general, and are a lot more afraid to draft them early. And Cleveland has had some success with Dowdy, and like, they turned Clemmy into trade bait, and they've taken some high picks. They haven't used their first selection on a prep pitcher in a while, but they have taken some players who are, prep pitchers early. So it makes sense. It's trying to find a port in the storm, which is hard. And when this is one of the depths of the class, I'm very curious to see what teams might consider who's going to jump. it's fun to see. I could talk for another hour about this, but we've probably already gone too long as is.
We have.
So,
and it also depends on who's going to take the under slot, so they can move
Yep.
the money down the board too. So a lot more to come on draft season. So if you're looking for draft prospects, we'll have you covered all year long as news pops up. So make sure you're subscribing, you're downloading, you're joining the Everydayer Club to continue the conversation after the show is over. If you have more questions and you want the ad-free episodes as well, that's all there. We'll be back again tomorrow as always. I think we got to wrap up our prospects list, Jeff, so we can get that done and get to our annual prospect draft. So that's coming up soon.
Yeah, we'll hammer out 20 to 10 on the post-production. Let me know if you want me to do a mock for Friday. If Friday's episode you want to mock, put that in the comments. Let me know. I will do that. Otherwise, I'll take what information is available. But vote. Yes. So right now it's 1-0 for mock. So let me know in the comments if you want to mock. Thank you all for joining us. And go Guardians, go.